In our first lesson, we learned how to identify details in a passage to help us determine the author's main point or main idea that he or she is trying to get across. So we learned how to look for specific details to use as evidence to help us determine what is the most important idea or point that the author is trying to make. In this lesson, we're going to be given a main idea, and we are going to be asked to find the one statement or one detail in a passage that best supports that main idea. So let's take a look at our first example. We are asked to select the best evidence to support the statement that in the late 1800s, a law made it easier for magazine companies to do business. So let's read through the passage and then see if we can find the detail that best supports this key point. At the turn of the 20th century, short stories were a preferred form of entertainment in the United States. This was a boom time for magazine publishing, owing in part to developments in offset printing technology, as well as to the Postal Act of 1879, which had granted magazines discounted mailing rates. Publications such as Ladies' Home Journal, the Saturday Evening Post, and the Delineator, all of which published short stories, sold more than 500,000 copies per issue. The authors of these stories were well known at the time and often paid well. So which statement in this passage offers the best evidence that a law made it easier for magazine companies to do business? Well, the first piece of information that we need to identify is whether or not a specific law is mentioned in the passage. If you look here, the Postal Act of 1879, okay? So our key word is act. Typically, whenever a law is passed, that law is referred to as an act. We're also told that it was passed in 1879, the Postal Act of 1879, which is in the late 1800s. So we've identified the law that was passed in the late 1800s. So what exactly did this do to help magazine companies do business much more easily? Look at the statement that follows, which had granted magazines discounted mailing rates. Which had granted magazines discounted mailing rates. Why would a law that gives a magazine a discount on a mailing rate, a discount on postage, how does that make it easier for them to do business? Well, for one, it helps the business make more money. Businesses are in the business of making money. Well, what's this have to do with a discounted mailing rate? Well, if they're spending less in postage, that means that's more money that they are making in profit. So, based on this information, this was a boom time for magazine publishing, owing in part to developments in offset printing technology, as well as to the Postal Act of 1879, which had granted magazines discounted mailing rates. This sentence best supports the statement. This sentence provides the best evidence that in the late 1800s, a law made it easier for magazine companies to do business. Let's take a look at another example to see if we can find evidence to support the stated claim or main idea. The following passage is about the Trans-Siberian Railway, a long railway that crosses Russia. Select the best evidence to support the statement that the train has fewer tourists in the winter than in the summer. So the claim is made that there's less tourists in winter than there are in summer. Let's take a look at the passage and see if we can identify the best evidence to support that claim. Whether you make it all the way across the country or just a short distance, a trip on the Trans-Siberian train is one of the most exciting things to do in Russia and a wonderful way to reach the least explored places. You can have a great experience at any time of the year. Most travelers go in the summer to see the flowering nature and easily explore the towns along the way. However, winter offers its own adventure with magnificent views of endless white. In winter, the trains are warm. So which statement supports the claim that more people travel in the summer than in the winter? Well, we see that in the second paragraph in the second sentence. We are told most travelers go in the summer. So the author tells us right off the bat that most people who are traveling go in the summer. Then we are told, however, winter offers its own adventure with magnificent views of endless white. In winter, the trains are warm. Okay, so most travelers travel in the summer. We're also told that there are winter travels, but our clue is the word most. Therefore, this sentence provides the best evidence to support the claim that fewer tourists travel in the winter than in the summer. In addition to providing us with evidence to support a particular claim or main idea, details within a passage can also be used to help us determine whether or not the author is stating a fact or an opinion. So let's discuss the difference between fact and opinion before we look at an example. So first, a fact is something that can be proved by research or observation. In our example, we're told Napoleon Bonaparte was shorter than King Louis the 14th, King Louis the 16th. This statement is a fact. How do we know this? Because we can prove whether or not the statement is true by doing research. We can research the height of each individual, of Napoleon and King Louis, and find out how tall they were. An opinion, on the other hand, is a statement that a person believes, thinks, or feels. An opinion is something that cannot be proved. For example, Napoleon Bonaparte was a better leader than King Louis the 16th. How do we prove that? Determining who is a better leader is really up to the thoughts and ideas of the person making the claim, because their criteria for a good leader may be different than mine. It may be different than yours. That's why, for example, to put it in terms that we can understand, when the claim is made, who is better, Michael Jordan or LeBron James? Which one's the GOAT? People from my generation who grew up watching Michael Jordan play may make the claim that Jordan is the greatest. We can back it up with facts, but if we ask somebody in the generation today who grew up with LeBron James, they could say, no, LeBron's the greatest. Well, what criteria are we using? Are we basing it off of numbers? Are we basing it off of, and when I say numbers, are we basing it off of stats? Who won more games? Who has the most rings? There's so many different factors that come into play. Now, the stats, of course, are facts. But our interpretation of those facts to determine which one is the greatest of all time is completely dependent upon us. It's our opinion. We can't really prove it. We can support an opinion with facts, but at the end of the day, it's still an opinion. So in the case of Napoleon and King Louis, like I said, people can have different ideas about what makes Napoleon a better leader than King Louis. Someone else could use a completely different set of criteria to determine why King Louis was better than Napoleon. Now let's look at the two sentences that we are given and see if we can determine which one is a fact. Based on a novel by Gregory Maguire, the musical Wicked is the most entertaining show you will find on or off Broadway. Let's look at sentence 2. Wicked starred Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel when it opened on Broadway on October 30th, 2003. To determine which one is the fact, we need to ask ourselves, which statement can be proven? Sentence 2 says, Wicked starred Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel when it opened on Broadway on October 30th, 2003. Can we prove that? Yes, we can research the playbill. We can see who the actors and actresses were that participated in the Broadway play. This is documented information, documented facts that we can find. So that is definitely a statement of fact. The first sentence, we have one word that helps us determine that this is an opinion. Based on a novel by Gregory Maguire, the musical Wicked is the most entertaining show you will find on or off Broadway. Okay, so what word clues us in that this is an opinion? The word most. The writer is saying that this musical is the most entertaining show. Is there any way that that can be proven? Because another writer could say that a different Broadway play, Cats, for example, was more entertaining than Wicked. Someone else could say no. The Mikado, another famous play, was more entertaining. Well, I thought that Hamlet was the most entertaining play that I saw on Broadway. Again, it's based on people's personal feelings. Yes, the author is using facts to describe Wicked because it is based on a novel by Gregory Maguire. That's something we can prove. But proving that it's the most entertaining show that someone will find is purely an opinion. Let's practice with a couple of examples to see if we can distinguish between facts and opinions. In this example, we're asked to determine which sentence states a fact. The greatest benefit of parkour training is that it teaches people to see obstacles and challenges as opportunities. Parkour is a physical discipline that involves getting from one point to another while navigating obstacles along the way. So, which statement is a fact? Which statement is an opinion? Let's look at the first statement. The greatest benefit of parkour training is that it teaches people to see obstacles and challenges as opportunities. Now, are there facts that can be found in this statement? Yes. Parkour training teaches people to see obstacles and challenges as opportunities. Okay, That's something that could be proven. But what about the greatest benefit of parkour training? The greatest benefit, that phrase makes this an opinion. Because this author may see the fact that it teaches people to see obstacles and challenges as opportunities is the greatest benefit. Somebody else could say, no, the greatest benefit of parkour is it really gives you a full physical and mental workout. Because you're working your body, you're strengthening your core, and it's also strengthening your mind. It's strengthening your reaction time, the reaction between thought to action. The first sentence is an opinion. The second sentence just simply states facts about parkour. It says parkour is a physical discipline that involves getting from one point to another while navigating obstacles along the way. These are all statements that can be proven. You can prove it by watching parkour videos. You can prove it by reading informational texts about parkour. These are statements of fact. So, between the two sentences, parkour is a physical discipline that involves getting from one point to another while navigating obstacles along the way is the correct answer. Let's look at this final example to determine which sentence states a fact. Cartoonist Jeff Kinney's book, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, deserves all of the praise it has received. Jeff Kinney worked on Diary of a Wimpy Kid for 6 years before publishing it online. Which statement is fact? Cartoonist Jeff Kinney's book, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, deserves all of the praise it has received. Once again, we have one word that sticks out that provides us with a clue to help us see that this is in fact a statement of opinion. Diary of a Wimpy Kid deserves all of the praise it has received. Did the book receive praise? Yes, that can be proven. Does the book deserve the praise? The use of the word deserve tells us that this is an opinion. The author feels that, yes, the book was praised and it deserved the praise. Someone else could come along and say, you know, I really wasn't impressed with Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I feel that it deserved none of the praise. Is that person's feeling wrong? No. The feeling isn't wrong. That's just the person's opinion. The second sentence, Jeff Kinney worked on Diary of a Wimpy Kid for 6 years before publishing it online, is a statement of fact because, again, it's providing information that can be proven. We can research to find out when did Jeff Kinney start writing it and when did he publish it. Then we see how much time took place in between. How many years was it? So, Jeff Kinney worked on Diary of a Wimpy Kid for 6 years is a statement of fact that can be proven. Therefore, that is our answer.